Hello, hello, hello. I am Mike Russell from musicradiocreative.com, and I'm here to bring you more podcasting tips and tricks this week on the live stream. Next week it is pre-recorded because I'm out in San Diego and I'm speaking at Social Media Marketing World 2018. Really excited about this. I cannot wait to talk to you, hopefully, if you're attending, about improving the sound of your audio podcast. If you're not attending, but you're in the area, or you'd like to fly in, or you'd like to get a virtual ticket, go to mrc.fm/SMMW, and I'd love to meet you in San Diego. But right now, this is a really good question, actually, from Lucy, who, funnily enough, is in Sacramento in California. And she emailed me the other week to say, Mike, just curious, what is the going rate for podcast production? And when we're talking about podcast production, let me just be clear, we're not talking about podcast jingles and podcast, all the kind of elements, the intros and outros that go. We're talking about the podcast production. That's your entire process from top to bottom, from, adding the intros and outros, the jingles possibly in between as well, and just making the sound of your podcast sound good so that it's a fully produced episode ready for you to upload to your media host. Now, all producers do different things. Some of them take care of the whole thing. So it's like literally you just hit record and hit stop, send us a file. We will produce it, add the intros and outros, tag it with ID3 tags, upload it to your media host and put it out there for you. So literally all you have to worry about is sitting down and hitting record. In other cases, it's more about making the audio sound good. It's very deep and detailed about editing out ums and ers if you're a perfectionist, making you sound good, cutting out any excess waffle, kind of using almost a radio producer's mind there to find out what sounds good and what doesn't, and cutting out any obvious mistakes and bits like that. Now, the first thing to bear in mind when we think about what the going rate is for podcast production, what exactly do you want your editor or your producer to do? Do you want them to listen to your whole podcast, or do you want them literally just to top and tail it and upload it for you? What is required here? Because if you want something really, really simple, like maybe topping and tailing and uploading, you might want to get that done via a website such as there's Odesk, isn't there? Odesk is pretty popular. Elance, Freelancer, something like that. There's loads of them out there where you can basically hire people by the hour all around the world. It's a global market, really fantastic. I've used that website myself in the past. I know Isabella, my wife and business partner at Music Radio Creative, she's used those websites before to source some absolutely fantastic talent that we work with at Music Radio Creative. We don't use anyone on those sites for audio editing. We do hire professional radio and audio producers to work with us. But certainly if you want to get a task done, prices can go as low as $5, $6, maybe even $7 per hour. So if you're working an hour or two, that can be a pretty reasonable rate if you're just doing simple tasks with your podcast. But of course, it can go deeper than that, can't it? And you can expect to pay, I think, anywhere between $25 all the way up to $50, maybe even $100 per hour for a really good podcast audio producer. Now, just a little quote here. I'm working in dollars because I recognize that a majority of the audience will be able to convert it to their local currency. So US dollars, and for our US viewers, I know you're going to absolutely love that. But of course, you can work in British pounds, you can work it to euros or whatever. But I just thought I'd keep it in US dollars for the sake of ease in this particular episode. So, for instance, at Music Radio Creative, when we produce podcast episodes, and we do for many clients across the globe, we will add the EQ and light compression. We will make sure your loudness level, which is talked about so much, hits the required standard of minus 16 LUFS. Any provided audio you've got, if you want to get rid of breaths, microphone pops, any blips or mistakes, noise reduction or removal, ID3 tagging is included, and saving in the correct rate, which is usually MP3 128 kilobits per second, constant bit rate stereo 44/100 hertz. Don't worry if you don't understand that. We sort that out for you at Music Radio Creative. So I'm going to show you our rates as of the time of this live stream, so you can get a yardstick for where things are. We try to be very competitive. We're definitely not the cheapest, and if you did go somewhere like Odesk, I'm sure you could probably get someone on one corner of the world or another to do things potentially cheaper. But we do think we have competitive rates at Music Radio Creative and kind of match the market. So for one episode that is 30 minutes in duration. And remember, you're hiring certainly with Music Radio Creative, a professional radio producer, so someone who has radio production knowledge to listen through the whole of your episode, cut out and refine it, and also make it sound better. One episode would be $50. That's 30 minutes. And obviously it goes up to a 45-minute episode being $65, $75 for a 60-minute episode. So you see it gets better the more audio you throw at us, basically. So the longer your episodes are. And also the more you work with us as well. We have different plans here for 5 episodes, 10 episodes, or if you do an episode a week, 52 episodes is actually quite a popular plan. And if you were to calculate that figure over there, 1645 USD for the whole year of 30-minute episodes. I'm just going to do a quick calculation myself, actually. That divided by 52 brings it to just over $31, around $31.63. So as you can see, it makes it even more competitive versus just trying out for one episode. But of course, well aware that a lot of people will just try for one episode just to see what it's like to work with you. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully that gives you a ballpark figure of what to expect when negotiating for podcast production. There are just so many different variables out there depending on the amount of work you want done. But yeah, hopefully it gives you an idea of what the going rate is for podcast production. If you have some different thoughts or ideas, or if you do podcast production yourself, do explain. I'd love to hear from you in the comments as to what you're charging and what your process is and how you find it. Go over to main places, the YouTube channel at youtube.com/musicradiocreative. And if you are interested in having all of your podcast production outsourced, so you just literally record the content and we make it sound great, head over to musicradiocreative.com/podcast-production. That's musicradiocreative.com/podcast-production. And we would love to work with you.